Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. We are in portion Ekev in our volume 22 of the Zohar. And let's invite in the lineage of the Rab and Karen and Michael, Rabbi Shlad, Rabbi Brandwein, the Ariya Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Avram Mazulai, Rabbi Nachum Mendelovitepsk, Rabbi Kolon Mishapir Piasetzna, Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimur Chai, and all the students. One soul with Yosef at Tzaddik, Joseph the Righteous in Shem. And as this is our One World Zohar study, we want to have a consciousness of connecting to the upper realm, the flawless universe, the level of Binah, where all our fulfillment rests. And we want to think about manifesting that fulfillment in the form of healing for those who we know who need healing, assistance to those souls who are transitioning. So we're sending them energy of comfort and energy of elevation. Let's also channel the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, and treating everyone with human decency, and also protection from evil eye and evil speech and negativity. So that's a lot right there. Okay, so let's have that conscious as we connect to these letters. Verse 1, Rai Mahamana, V'haya Ekev Tishmun et hamishpatim ha'ele v'gomer, v'achalta v'savata u'verachta, et Hashem lokecha v'gomer, pikuda da levacha le'lekutcha brichu, al kolma de'achil v'shateh, v'ithanei b'hai alma, v'ila barich, ikre gazlan legabe kutcha brichu, dichtib gozel avi v'ima, v'ha ukmuha, chavraya, begin de birkan devarech barnash l'kutcha brichu, Atel amshacha chayim mim kora dechaye lishmei de kucha brichul kadisha ula arka ale mehel mishcha ila'a vatel itmashcha mitaman lechol alma. Ellen?
Rav Mahimna, the faithful shepherd.
And that, of course, is Moses. And why is he called the faithful shepherd? Because he shepherded the children of Israel through the desert from Egypt en route to the Holy Land. Historically? No, not even just historically. Why would we limit it to that period of a few thousand years ago? Isn't he still shepherding us as the greatest teacher of all time?
Oh, yes.
Verse 1. He's still shepherding us. He's shepherding us right now. Think about the whole idea of titles that that we encounter in our life. Father, mother, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, team lead, chairman. I don't know. It's like it's not just a designation, it's actually part of the energy. It sets boundaries. It establishes a consciousness. So we can look at it and say it's kind of lame, but on the other hand, it's really not. It's really it's an expression of the energy. And in this case, expression of huge energy, because there was never a prophet as great as Moses before or after him. Now, having said that, our teachers tell us that in each generation, Moses comes back to assist us. So he's assisting us even now. Okay, keep going.
Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments.
Okay, so that is the first verse from this week's portion of Ekev. That's the title verse. So the Zohar is now going to help us unpack the internal energy in that verse. Remember that while the 5 books of Moses, the Torah, shows up as a story, it's really a conduit to energy from the upper realm. And so what the Zohar is doing, it's assisting us in unpacking that energy so that we can understand how practically it applies to our life. Our soul's journey. Okay, keep going.
When you have eaten and you are replete, then you shall bless Hashem your Elohim.
Okay, so So what did the Zohar just do? Well, the Zohar is sharing with us, this is verse 1 of Ekev. The Zohar is sharing with us the title verse, and then it's pulling another verse from the next chapter to help us understand what the internal energy is of that title verse. A lot of times we see a verse from Psalms in that second verse. Most times we do, but in this case, not. So we have a coded verse followed by another coded verse. So it's like we're doubling down on coded verses here. Why are the verses coded? Can someone explain that to me? Why isn't it just so much more obvious what's going on?
Help us connect more by
Yeah,
digging into what this
absolutely.
is. Like if I
We want to earn it. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a much deeper connection when we can make that connection and unpack it. When things are handed to us, we don't appreciate them. That's bread of shame. Rav Shlag writes extensively about it. That's bread of shame. When something's handed to us, when we have to work for it, we appreciate it. And it's more sustainable. It's like when you win the lottery, you didn't really work for it. That's why lottery winners blow the money pretty quickly, generally. That's the idea. When we work with something, we totally appreciate it, we manifest it. And with that appreciation, we create sustainability. So our ability to unpack these verses, to delve into the deeper meaning, creates a more meaningful and sustainable experience for us. So ultimately, we have to figure out how these verses relate to our life. Now that second verse, and you shall eat and be full and bless, is the scriptural source for blessings. Hence, this section is called Meditation Over Blessings. So really what we're opening up is this idea of what should I be thinking about? Now, you can think about whatever you want. The only question is, how do I maximize the opportunity of life? And really, how do I figure out what my soul's purpose is? And what does a blessing have to do with my soul's purpose? By the way, yes, Ellen.
Reading this and hearing the discussions about this, it sounds like if you don't bless Hashem after you're bad and wrong, you must. And, that world of should and have to. But really, I think what this is saying is, before we stuff our face with food unconsciously, we stop and appreciate. It's a practice of appreciation.
Yes.
Which generates more of everything.
Right.
So even you might not, I don't remember the blessings for every blessing over everything, but if I stop and say, oh my God, thanks for this, or this is great.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I just had a banana right before class, and sometimes I catch myself. The banana's already in my mouth, and I'm saying the blessing. Like I So what does it mean to stop, say the blessing, and then eat the banana? It's a restriction. And so to your point, we're stopping and we're appreciating, but we're stopping and we're restricting. And that restriction is what reveals the light.
Exactly.
Like this is us. My nature is to peel the banana, monkey way. I'm joking. I peel it the other way. But our nature is to peel the banana and eat it. That's our nature. What's rising above our nature? It's pausing and just acknowledging where that banana came from. Where did that banana come from? I know the sticker says Guatemala, whatever, but really, where did that banana come from?
Actually, it comes from Israel.
Well, some may come from Israel, but I'm not going to fish it out of the garbage and see what the sticker said. But really, where did it come from? It came from the upper realm. The energy that I'm connecting with is from the upper realm. Yes, Peter.
So the actual sentence she read said we have eaten in past tense. We haven't gotten to the next sentence that talks about blessing after you eat. So would you take a quick moment? the Birkat Hamazon, right? The blessing after we eat, they say, what, I get the idea of praying before I eat because I've really, truly taking a moment to appreciate and thank, as Ellen's saying, before I eat it. And I'm doing the same thing after, but obviously there's a different logic to it, different consciousness to it. So why am I doing that afterwards?
So interesting, and I was waiting for that one, and I'm glad you brought it up. The order is messed up because here I am talking about saying the blessing before I eat the banana, but the scriptural verse is I eat and I'm satisfied, and then I make the blessing. So that's the scriptural source for saying a blessing after you eat, not before. And it's different. And frankly, there is no scriptural source that directly says, say a blessing before you eat. It's the difference between scriptural sources for things and what teachers and what Kabbalists understand in a deeper way. So the whole idea of saying a blessing before you do something is what the rabbis and Kabbalists have taught is the inner essence of things. This is actually black and white. It's written that way. So there's two different sources for blessings. The before blessing is the oral tradition, and the after blessing is the written tradition, the written law. It's different. It's really different. And, I'm pausing, but when I say the blessing before I eat something, there's a pause, there's a restriction, I'm revealing light. What about when I say the blessing afterwards? It's already happened. So we're going to delve into that, and we're going to see a little bit more of the significance of what that means. But on a very simple level, when I pause before I say something and I say a blessing and I have a consciousness of appreciating what I'm about to eat, the banana in my example, I am manifesting light. So what happens if I say the blessing afterwards? So we're going to read on and we'll see that. Ron, I saw you had a question too.
Well, it wasn't a question. It was more to add on what Maria said about like when you asked the question, why is everything? I think what you asked is why is it coded?
Right.
Is that what you asked? And,
yes.
And well, how like part of how I see it is that there's like the concealment of it. There's great light in uncovering what's concealed, and sometimes it's like hidden from you, but it's in plain sight, right?
Right. That's a fascinating point you brought up. It's actually something that Maria shared with me the other day. There's this idea that everything we're studying is there. Like, what are we revealing? It's concealed. Is it though? We're not revealing stuff it's there. We just don't see it. And this really goes to an idea that we've talked about, that if we're going to use our five senses, it's going to be a 1% reality. That we have to tap into our sixth sense. And, as Sonu Choquette told me last night in a video I watched, the world is lying to us when it says we don't have anything beyond our five senses. It's a big lie. And what it does is it closes us to that consciousness. Like, we need to work on our consciousness of tapping into the world beyond our five senses. And there's the whole bunch of ways of doing it. But one is very simply ask for help. And when we get help, thank the life for the help. And acknowledge, like, when something serendipitous occurs, we need to self-validate on that, because we want to continue to be led and get messages of that sort. That is something we really want to continue to work on. And it fits very neatly into what we're talking about here, because it's not just, I used to look at a blessing over the banana as just like I'm acknowledging the banana. Yeah, that's true at one level. But at a much deeper level, when I share that, when I have that consciousness, I'm manifesting light in the world. And that's next level. So not only is it in terms of the consciousness we have when we're eating, but it's the consciousness we have when we're interacting with the world around us. Because the blessings I receive are not only in the form of a banana, they also come in the form of messages that we receive to guide us on our soul's journey. This is an empty realm. I know it looks full, but it's empty. The light is constantly flowing through here. I know it looks static. It looks like I did yesterday when I woke up. I mean, everything's in the same place I left it in. No, that's an illusion. I used the example the other day, like, I just renewed my lease for a year. So like I'm, pretty much, I got the apartment for another year, right? Your reality is renewed every moment. Nothing, there's no permanence here of any kind. At every moment, it gets renewed. And that's like the power of now. It's like be in the moment, because that's what matters. We're never in the past. We're always in the present. We're never in the future. We're always in the present. We will look at the past and look at the future, but they're not real. That's not what's going on. So all of this, even with this idea of prayer, it's a concept of being present to what's going on and acknowledging it and appreciating it. Because as we'll see, it opens up all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of channels. Okay, Ellen, keep going.
We are commanded to bless the Holy One, blessed be he, for everything we eat and drink and enjoy in this world.
Okay, so the Zohar is saying to us, hang on one second. The Zohar is saying to us that this is a commandment to bless the Holy One. And as we identified earlier, by the way, we're in verse 1 of Ekev, volume 22, which in my book is page 126. What does it mean to be commanded? Like, what does that mean? Because clearly we don't have to do it. It doesn't look like there's consequences if we don't. So look at command from a different perspective. Look at command from just aligning ourselves with the flow of energy in the world. As opposed to command, someone telling you something, look at command as just our sense of the currents. Like, I don't want to swim against the current. I want to go with the flow. So I'm being commanded, I'm being drawn. And why am I being drawn? Because I have an elevated consciousness. And when I'm in my elevated consciousness, I get a sense for the flow of what's going on in the world. Yes, Peter.
I'm taking the same word that you did. And if you think about it, we were commanded. It might be a request, right? But it's a request because if we can connect more deeply to the source, right? So I'm thinking about your banana. And remember, your banana came from a tree. The tree came from the earth came, right? All of this came from God. If we go back, we're ultimately getting back to the source, right? The ultimate source. And we're using physicality, just like the wine and the bread on Shabbat. We're using the physicality, but can we take a moment to draw from that piece of banana that you're eating all the way back to its origin?
It's seed level. Literally, that's the level of Keter, the highest of the 10 Sfirot. It's seed level. Yeah. And again, this is us working on our consciousness and not just being robotic about what we do. And also not feeling like, oh, these are just obligations. Like I have to do them whether I want to or not. You actually don't have to do them. Again, we're in volume 22, verse 1 of Ekev. In my book, it's page 126. Andy, I see your hand is up.
I think it's more of like an offer, like this is what you can do to get what you want in life. It's really not a commandment. Like the 10 commandments are the 10 utterances. It's more of an utterance that if this is where you want to go in your life, you need to do this. You don't have to,
Right,
but you need to.
right.
If you're not going to be appreciative, if you're not going to restrict, you're not going to get what you're looking for. You'll get something. You may even get enough.
Yes.
You may be happy, but you're not going to be the best version of yourself. This is the path to the best version of yourself.
And this is the path that we choose, so we reveal the most light. Thank you for that. Okay, keep going.
Okay.
Hey,
He who-
David, you
Yes.
guys, do you mind if I mention something?
No, go right
Um,
ahead, Suzanne. I didn't see your
Yeah,
hand.
it's super quick. It's kind of builds on what Andy just said. For some reason this week while I was driving, it hit me the whole reason for the Kabbalah Center, why the Rav and Karen came to share this with the world. It was about eliminating pain, suffering, and death. And it just freaking dawned on me that, oh my God, it's the freaking blueprint. It's the blueprint. It's the, like, just like Andy said, it's the choice. They're trying to teach the deeper truths to show us that it's not what you should and should not do. It's just simply a path, but it will lessen the impact of pain of because we learn through pain, we learn through suffering, we learn through grace, right?
Right.
If we know the direction. So it was like, it just hit me on a whole new, I don't know. It was like a lightning bolt. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
anyways,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened in the car?
oh, wow. I don't know. Moving forward, I don't know. Because I was on autopilot driving on the expressway.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we all have opportunities to connect to our deeper self. Like sometimes those things pop into my head in the shower. And sometimes they happen when I'm in the car, because in the car, I'm not really plugged in to what? To my phone, to social media, to email. I'm just kind of sitting there, just like taking it all in. So I mention that because I think it's really important for us to be more present to those energy fields that we occupy and those where we have a greater opportunity to connect on a soul level. And, you know, driving your car is an opportunity for that. And clearly it was, because all of a sudden you were hit in the head in a very positive way. Okay, let's continue.
He who does not bless is considered as stealing from the Holy One, blessed be he, as it is written, he who robs his father or his mother. And the friends explain that it applies to the Holy One, blessed be he.
Okay, so there's a verse written in the book of Mishlei, where the prophet says, "He who robs his father or mother," and we understand what the Zohar is telling us is that's a reference to stealing from the Creator. You know, the supernal Abba and Ima, father and mother, is Chokhmah and Binah, two of the three top sfirot on our tree of life. So the source. So does that feel harsh? Like if you don't say a blessing, it's as if you've stolen? Now, the thing I thought about this is that, interestingly enough, if you do steal something and you say, I really appreciate that you have this and I'm stealing it, it's not like you haven't robbed. You have. Appreciation is meaningless in that context. But in this context, appreciation, stopping before you use something, nullifies this whole thievery thing. Again, by unpacking this, we're creating more meaning here. The whole idea is that all the things that we encounter in the world are there for us. The issue is, are we going to acknowledge consciously the source, where they came from? And are we going to appreciate the fact that they're in our lives? all these blessings that we have. For sure, we have challenges in our lives, and those challenges occupy a good portion of our consciousness. On the other hand, our ability to appreciate blessings, even though we have those challenges in our life, is what creates a more fulfilling and more meaningful experience, and helps us keep our heads in a positive place. So one of the things to also consider as we talk about consciousness is, and we talked about this before, it's like the role that our guides play in our life. So showing appreciation for the messages that we get, we let our guides know that we want to hear them. And if we want more guidance in our life, we need to take that relationship more seriously. There's always room for doing that. And people do all kinds of things. They carve out specific times of the day to do things that connect them more spiritually. They thank their guides for giving them help. They appreciate before and after all the things that we can do to get greater intuitive assistance. Yes, Peter.
I read the last two sentences of the paragraph, and it says that we connect to Binah, but when we get to Kokma, it is then for the benefit of the world. And I've not heard that before, right?
Okay, so that's great. Let's read on.
Okay. The blessings and the friends applied to the blessings that a person gives the Holy One, blessed be he, are meant to draw life from the source of life, which is Binah, to the holy name of the Holy One, blessed be he.
Okay,
And
so the person that gives a blessing to the Holy One. Now, let's just stop there. You're giving a blessing to the Holy One. Does the Holy One have any lack? No. Can you give something to someone that has everything? No. So again, this is about our effort in giving. We're not making the Holy One more whole. We can't do that. This is us giving. And that's the focus. This is us giving of ourselves. Because in this realm, we need to give in order to receive. We want it to be like the Creator. So that act of giving is making us like the Creator. That's how we partner with the Creator, through our acts of giving. Because the Creator is the ultimate giver. The Creator gives and never has less. I take my candle, I light another candle, I don't have less, I have more. It's a paradox that the Creator gives and has more. How's that possible? Well, when you're stuck in your linear thinking and body consciousness and ego, it doesn't seem possible at all. It's a paradox. And as the Rav has been quoted as saying, when you see the paradox, you're closer to the truth. We are viewing our world through a body consciousness. And so we see things linearly, and we're kind of stuck with that. And part of our connecting to a deeper consciousness and elevating our consciousness is understanding, I don't have to reconcile that. I can live with that paradox. Because in the upper realm, it's a different set of rules than we have in physicality. So that's the first part of it. We're giving, although it's not like the Creator needs our blessings. We need our blessings. We need to be giving. Because when we give, we make room to continue to that flow. When we share, we make room for the flow of additional blessings. So we give, and those are drawing life from Binah. That's energy. That's the world to come. That's Binah. That's the reservoir of all fulfillment. So when we give in the forms of a blessing, we are opening up the channels to manifest from potential. David Guillaume shared the other day that you cannot have a desire for something that doesn't exist. So if you have that desire, it exists. Where is it? It's in potential. Where is that? It's the level of Binah. How do I get it? Well, one way is through blessings. We manifest through blessings. And when we make blessings, we're manifesting from the level of Binah. Potential. Okay, keep going.
And these blessings are to pour on top of him from that supernal oil, that is the abundance of Chokmah. From there, it is then drawn upon the whole world.
Okay, so this is, again, us delving into the superstructure of reality and the source from where blessings come from. The Binah is a reservoir of fulfillment, but it streams in from Chokhmah, which in this example, and in many examples, we see this idea of supernal oil that flows from Chokhmah into Binah, into the reservoir. And from the reservoir, as we'll see, it works its way into our realm through Zeran Pin, through the 6 Sfirot that stand between the reservoir of Binah and Malchut, our realm of manifestation. So why is it important to go into this level of detail? Because our consciousness manifests when we understand what we're doing. Literally, the more we understand about the construct of reality, of the source of our blessings, of the channels that are available to us, of what we need to do to animate those channels, to manifest those blessings, the more we understand about that, the more blessings we can manifest. Not for just us. From there, it is drawn upon the whole world. So every time you make a blessing, what the Zohar is saying is you are elevating the world. Okay, let's take the next verse, verse 2. The inun milin mehau mekora ila'a, vit barchan kol inun dargin umakorin, vit malyan la'arka al kol almin, vit barchan kuhu kachada.
It is also written, when you have eaten and are replete, then you shall bless Hashem your Elohim.
Okay, so it's repeating that verse from the previous paragraph.
Say again.
It's just repeating. That's the same verse that was in. So the Zohar is not going to dive a little more deeply into that. Go ahead.
By these blessings, persons pours out through his words abundance from the highest source. That is Binah.
Now, to Peter's point earlier, by these blessings, these are the blessings after we eat. Go ahead.
All the levels and sources of Zeran Pin and Malchut are blessed and filled with abundance to pour upon all the worlds, and everything is blessed together.
Okay, so these blessings are, and by the way, those different paragraphs in Grace After Meals, after Birkat HaMazon, have different connections to different Sfirot. And on Shabbat, which is tonight, there are extra opportunities for consciousness connecting to the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now, in the previous paragraph, it says, are meant to draw life from the source of life, which is Binah, to the holy name of the Holy One, blessed be He. What does that mean, to be drawn to the holy name? And eventually to the whole world. But what does it mean to be drawn to the holy name? Why is that there? What's so special about the holy name? Well, a lot, obviously. That reference is the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Tetragrammaton, the 4-letter ineffable name of the Creator. So what our teachers teach us is the Yud Kei Vav Kei is not just a name. It is a name, but it's not just a name. Because let's face it, the creator isn't a person sitting in some cloud somewhere pushing buttons. The creator's energy that's flowing from the upper realm. That energy is of the creator. And then there's aspects of the creator that we can't even fathom with our feeble body consciousness minds. So what are we left with? Well, we're left with a lot of tools. And one of the tools is the Tetragrammaton, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And what the Zohar teaches and what our teachers should teach is that the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei corresponds to Yud is Chochmah, Kei is Binah, Vav is the 6 Sfirot of Zeranpin, and the final K is Malchut. So it's not just a correspondence. That's the internal energy of the 4-letter Tetragrammaton, ineffable name of the creator. It's not just a name. It is the actual construct of reality. How blessings come from the upper realm into our realm. It's the construct of our reality. And so that's why the previous Zohar says, to the holy name. And from there, on top of him that said the blessing, and from there to the whole world. So again, this is just helping us consciously to wrap our heads around how the world works. And how often does that happen? Every moment. At every moment, the light of the creator is flowing into our world in fragmented ways through a series of channels. Okay. Ellen, did you read all the English in too?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, both paragraphs have ended with this whole idea that, and the second paragraph ends with the idea that abundance pours upon the world and everything is blessed together. It's this idea of abundance. So we do experience lack, but we also are experiencing abundance. Where are we experiencing abundance? In plenty of places, like all the places in our life where we have blessings. Do we have blessings in every area in our life? We do not. But we do want to be appreciative of the blessings that we do have, because appreciation forms the basis for continuity. The things that we don't appreciate will not stick around. They're not sustainable. So again, what we're getting from this section is not only appreciation for our world, but an appreciation for how blessings show up, an appreciation for what our every time I say appreciation, I feel like I'm slurring. An appreciation, it's a tongue twister, appreciation for what our role is. This is what our role is to facilitate a flow of blessings into our world, both on an individual level and on a communal, societal level. That's what we're doing. Do we see it? No, because the world looks somewhat stagnant. It doesn't look like, if I'm filling my water bottle with water, I actually see it filling up. But when we're opening up the channels for more blessings in the world, we don't see it. One of the things, and we've talked about this before, that our teachers explain is that if there were a computer monitor hooked up to the Zohar, and you could see the positive influence you're having in the world for every Zohar you read, every word you read, you'd be afraid to stop. So it's an aspect of mercy that we actually don't see the full impact of what we're doing and what positive impact it's having on the world. So if you just use your eyes, if you just use your 5 senses, we won't see the world moving in a positive direction. When we connect to our higher self, to our soul, when we rise above our judgments, when we rise above our limitations, when we rise above our blockages, we can sense a world where there is greater abundance, where we are facilitating more blessings. And part of the work we need to do is to maintain that consciousness, because when we drop the ball on that, we interrupt the flow. When we get down, when we're living in victimhood, when we're living in negativity, where we're living in seeing the cup as half empty as opposed to half full, we're disconnecting, we're not manifesting the light. It's a funny little paradox because it's not like I want to look at the world through rose-colored glasses. I want to be real. That's what the Satan is telling you. By looking at the cup as half full, the Satan is saying you're not being real. No, you are being real. That's not you. That's looking at the cup as half empty. That's the other side. That's our physical nature. We're all going to fall prey to that. By contrast, we have the opportunity to see the cup as half full, to see the blessings, to see the abundance, and to see the role that we have in how we approach life, not just saying a blessing. That's important. Not just saying a blessing before I eat the banana, or the grace after meals after I have a meal. It's not just that. It's seeing the blessings in every encounter I have in the world, which is a big challenge. And we need that challenge so we can appreciate it, so we can earn the light that we have and the blessings that we have. Okay, we're out of time. Thank you all. Love you all. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Everybody.